Hello everyone, my name is Amy, this is the Opinionated Woman, and welcome to another new type of video for me. I'm doing that a lot recently. I'm sort of just trying to figure out what works for me and what fits with me personally, because this is going to be a version of a wrap-up. I'm taking inspiration from some other people that I've seen. I've seen like Cindy cooks while she does her wrap-up. Leonie from the Book Leo, I've seen her drawing. Jacqueline drinks wine, you know. there's a whole bunch of people who've sort of changed up the sitting down and having a wrap-up format, because that is not working for me. I find them to be really high pressure. If I've read a lot of books, like the one month I read 15 books, I'm like, I can't do a wrap-up of 15 books, I'll die. And I also find that I dissociate during them. Like, I'm bipolar, so I am prone to dissociation. And I find that I dissociate while I'm filming these videos, and then I don't remember what I filmed properly until I edit it, and I really don't like that feeling. So that's why I haven't done a wrap-up in a while. So I decided to take that inspiration and take it into my medium. My medium is collage. I've been using this sketchbook because the paper is kind of flimsy. I've been using it as a collage sketchbook, and I've made like a series of little collage pieces. This is the base that I'm going to be working with. It is a combination of little dots of nail polish and different blobs of coffee from various cups of coffee over like a month or something. So like, paper's nice and crinkly. So I'm going to play with this while I've got some supplies here. I'm going to play with this while I chat to you about books, and we'll see how this works out. I'm also going to be talking about 5 books in here. So the 5 latest books that I've read from the beginning of October. I thought that'll be a much more digestible little mouthful. So now, with all of that preamble, let's get started. So the first book that I read for this was Sadie by Courtney Summers. Now this book has been recommended to me so much, or not personally to me, but like ever since I got on BookTube, people have been talking about Sadie, and I can see why there's such a hype. It's basically follows, in the past, Sadie's sister, whose name I can't remember, was murdered. They come from a very tough background. Their mom has addiction issues. They live in a trailer. You know, they're abused. It's very intense, very, very intense. And Sadie's sister gets murdered. And now we are a few years later where, I don't have glue. So the story starts a few years later where Sadie herself has actually gone missing. And nobody knows what's happened to her. She abandons her car and she just disappears. And nobody knows what's happening. So there's this guy who does a podcast who is now going back into the original murder case and also trying to track down Sadie. So you're getting the podcast format, which is very cool, full cast. Like, it sounds like a podcast, there's interviews, it's really, really cool. And then we're coming from Sadie's point of view. So we know what's happening with Sadie, even though her family doesn't know what's happening. And Sadie's trying to track down the person that she thinks is responsible for her sister's murder. And it's so perfectly melded together, like the different formats, and I really, really thought that it was super well thought out, and a type of format that I'm really, really not used to, but that I really want to read again. I mean, I've already read 2 more books that have podcast formats, and I think it's a format that works really well. If you don't like ambiguous endings, this ending might bug you, but I really like ambiguous endings, and I think that this ending was 10 out of 10, tip top. Really, really enjoyed it. And I don't give star ratings. If you've never seen a wrap-up of mine before, I don't enjoy giving star ratings, so I'm not gonna. The second one, so this is the one that sort of slowed down my reading, which is fine because I'm 1 book away from hitting my 100 book goal for the year, so I have time and space, you know. So I decided to pick up Leonardo and the Last Supper by Ross King. If you are into like the Renaissance period or anything like that, and you're looking for a really good author for nonfiction like this, Ross King is great. I read another book of his, Brunelleschi's Dome, and it's excellent. I'm gonna put this down so I can art. So that basically is just following the entire history of the painting The Last Supper, how it came about, the political climate around it, how it was physically done, because it's done in a type of fresco that was never done before at the time, and for a reason that you find out in the book. You know, there is a very good reason for fresco not being used in this manner, you know, but Leonardo will do his own thing. So it goes into Leonardo as a character, like as a character, but you know, like as a person, goes into Leonardo and what he was like, and what it was like in the art world at that period in time, who the big commissioners were, and you know, all of the different like battles between different European countries that were going on, and it gives you a really well-rounded idea of what happened around that painting. And it's so much more than just the painting. I mean, he goes into a whole chapter of different symbolism from that's like on the table itself. Like there's this whole description of why there's a knocked over salt cellar. Very interesting, very interesting. So if you like arty shit, I recommend that. Can I put this woman's just more remembered hair by her feet? Yes, I can, because that's what feels good. Yeah, so I enjoyed that one, but it did slow down my reading because obviously it is dense non-fiction about, you know, like highfalutin art. So yeah, but I thought it was really well done. Then, so I was looking at my list of books that I have to go through here. This is going to need more work than me just working on it in this. I might show you a process shots of this. So while I was planning to do this video, I saw that I was going to have to talk about Vita Nostra, and I was like, oh god, by Sergei and Marina Dyachenko. And I didn't say oh god because I didn't like Vita Nostra, it's because I really liked Vita Nostra. But it is so freaking weird that I've got no idea how to go about describing it to you. So we're following Sasha, who encounters this man on a holiday, and he gives her this task that she has to perform, and something bad will happen to her family if she does not perform this task. So that mysterious man sort of pops in and out of her life, and when it comes to her time for her to be going to university, he pops up and tells her that she's going to be going to this Institute for Special Technologies. It's not the school she wants to go to. It's not the dream that she's had for her whole life. But if she doesn't go there, bad stuff could happen to her mother and her stepfather and her new sibling that comes into the story later on. And we're following her going into this institute of, my feet are going to sleep, this Institute of Special Technologies, and you think you'd find out exactly what is going on in the school, what they're being taught and stuff like that, but no, you really don't. The classes that they have and the stories that she tells about the different assignments that she has are completely nonsensical. Even when she sort of becomes a third year and a second year, and these other people come in, like other students come in and they're asking, like, why are we here? What are we doing? She's just like, you will learn. And it is so abstract and strange, but if you like magical realism and you like a school setting, I would really appreciate you reading this book and coming to tell me what you thought about it. Because I listened to Books in Lala trying to describe this book recently, and she struggled too, and I think she's really good at talking about books. So it's not just me. This is a hard one, but I immediately went and put this duo's other book on my TBR, and luckily it's on Scribd, right away after I read it. So it sticks with you. It's some good shit. It's just fucking weird, you know? Fucking weird. Then, another physical one. I read Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. Now this book has been on my TBR for a bit. I remember hearing a couple of different people speaking about her, and I saw this for super cheap at a charity store and figured, you know what, this is a sign. Let me get into it. Let me give Anne Patchett a try. All I really knew going into it was that it was based around an opera singer, and it kind of went in a different direction than I anticipated. So it's set in a South American country that they don't name, and it's at the birthday party of this Japanese businessman that is there for work. He's been hosted by the vice president of this country, and his request for his birthday was to have this opera singer coming to sing, because he's absolutely enamored with her. And during this party, a bunch of terrorists come in and take them hostage. Now they're looking for the president. The president's not there. The president is watching his soaps at home because he never goes out on that particular day of the week because his soaps are on, which I thought was a very funny detail to add in there. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing with this. Looking cooler. So yeah, we sort of get this all of a sudden big dramatic moment with like that you're not sure about what's going to happen, and I thought it was going to be kind of 24 style, you know, like all in the same day, but it's not. This hostage situation lasts months, and they slip into this really strange like alternate reality where they've just sort of been like, okay, this is what it's going to be like, this is what we're going to do. The Red Cross bring them in food. All the women and children have left, except for the opera singer, because they thought they could use her as leverage. And you don't really get too much of the opera singer herself, like any kind of depth to her. All of these men are fucking obsessed with her, but I don't know why. Like, there's really not much to her character. They don't show you why she's so attractive besides the fact that she can sing. And I think there needs to be more to someone than just a nice voice, you know? But it's sort of plodded along in a very slow manner, and I wasn't expecting that. But I don't mind a slow book. Like, the character development, character development is pretty decent. And then the ending happened. And the ending was gosh darn wild. It was like absolutely crazy wild, and I didn't expect it. It was a completely different tone to the rest of the book, a completely different pacing, and it just like really surprised me. It really surprised me, and it made me want to give Anne Patchett's writing another try, because like while I didn't find this to be like bad in any way, it just wasn't as gripping as I would want it to be. But I do want to give Anne Patchett's writing another go, because I think she has a lot of potential. So if you've read any Anne Patchett's and you want to recommend one to me, drop it in the comments. I would appreciate that. Okay, so the final book that I read for this little video was False Witness by Karen Slaughter. Now, this one was a funny one because it wasn't how I expected, based on a lot of Karen Slaughter's that I have read. It wasn't as gory as I expected, which, I mean, her goriness can be a bit like gratuitous sometimes, so I can't say that that's a completely negative thing. But it was more disturbing in other ways, because this had a lot to do with crimes against children and sexual assault and things like that. So it is very intense, but it just didn't have the compellingness, and it wasn't just because the like not being, you know, physically gory, but it just didn't grip me like a lot of hers have gripped me in the past. The story follows these two sisters. One is a drug addict, she's a junkie. The other one is a lawyer. They also come from a very poor background, junkie mother, living in a trailer, stuff like that. The one sister becomes a lawyer, the other sister just sort of falls further and further into addiction. And do you have a sensitivity to hearing about people doing drugs? there is so much using in here. Like, I found it's quite triggering at times, like very, very detailed, but it does do very well to going into Callie, the sister who, it's Callie and Lee. Callie is the drug addict, and it really goes into what an addict's life would be like when you're in that deep, which is it's hard to see. It is hard to see, but unfortunately it is something that happens with people with addiction, and it's a very tough thing to navigate. So yeah, trigger warning for that. Basically, Lee and Callie both used to work for this guy, babysitting his child, and he assaulted both of them. And he has it on camera, and then the one day things go bad between him and Callie, and she ends up killing him. And she invites Lee, she calls Lee over to dispose of this. It's like, this is in the synopsis, it's not a spoiler. So that is sort of haunting them as they're going around into their adult life. And Lee gets this new client, and it is the boy that she used to babysit. And it comes out very quickly that he has video evidence of the assaults as well as of the murder, because his dad had cameras hooked up all over the house so that he could sell CP to people, which is disgusting. Like, it's absolutely horrifying. It was very intense to read, and so most of the story is them knowing that this guy has this dirt on them and them trying to figure out what to do. You know, there weren't really too many twists. There was one twist that I would consider a twist, that I was like, okay, didn't see that. But, you know, nothing else that was too dramatic. It was just fine. If you do like Karen Slaughter's writing and you wanted something a bit less gory, I'd probably go for this one. But it's definitely not a standout for me. And with that's me talking about 5 books. I think that went better than a lot of other ones. I'm hoping it did. This is needing to dry right now, and I need to figure out what to do with the center of this piece. But yeah, it might look a little bit odd to you, but that's what it looks like right now. But I've got some more work to do on it. If this works out, if once I edit this, I'm like, hey, you did well, this is how I will be doing my wrap-ups in the future, and I really hope you enjoyed. So if you did like, obviously leave a like. If you're not subscribed, please give me a subscribe. That would be cool. I'm nearly at 100 subscribers, a whole 100. And yeah, tickle my bell for notifications, and I'll take you next time.